It all ends on Sunday. Is it coming home or is it coming Rome? Coming to Rome. Going to Rome. What's up, guys? I'm Adrian, and thanks for joining me for this Euro 2020 final preview. I won't be doing it alone, as I'll have some help from Matisse Armani, or MAH on YouTube, and Uncle Sharma to get in depth with England and Italy respectively. Man, I can't wait for this final. And speaking of which, make sure you don't miss this Euro 2020 final due to region-locked content. And our sponsor, Surfshark, can absolutely help you out there. They will unlock those free streams of the final for you, no matter where you are. Surfshark, friends of the channel, are a service I use every day actually, whether I'm streaming matches or protecting my data online, both on my phone and on my computer, since there's no limit on how many devices you can use on one account. That's a huge win for you and your household. And it's been amazing. Install your Surfshark on your computer or your phone or your Apple TV, your Fire Stick, even your PlayStation or Xbox. Go find those easy gaming lobbies, man. The beauty of it all is that your usage is completely anonymous, and Surfshark don't keep any logs when it comes to your browsing. And like I was saying before, as football fans, we love to stream stuff. And you not only get to do that anonymously, but with Surfshark, you unlock streaming sites that are region locked, such as DAZN for your football content, Netflix. You get every single Netflix library around the world. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, meaning it's risk-free. So give it a shot using the link in the description now to get Surfshark VPN and enter the promo code Rabona TV, all one word, to get 83% off and 3 months for free. And you'll help out the channel in the process. So thank you, Surfshark. And now to the preview. So Italy come into this final having competed in 3 others, winning once and losing twice. They had to beat Belgium and Spain on their way to the final and remain unbeaten in 33 matches now, having won 13 consecutively if you count the shootout win as a straight up victory. Regardless, with a win, they would stretch the unbeaten run to 34 matches, one shy of the unbeaten records held by both Spain and Brazil. As for England, this is the first European Championship final that they have ever competed in, and in fact their first final in a major tournament since they won the World Cup in 1966, 55 years ago. There was plenty of undermining done for each of these teams. We had guys like Patrick Vieira and Gary Neville originally stating that Italy won't have enough when they come up against a real opponent. They certainly did have enough against Belgium and got it over the line eventually against Spain. England, they defeated Germany, then took on a poor Ukraine side, and then Denmark. Probably the toughest opposition they faced this tournament. And they looked pretty great in the process. Dubious penalty aside, England were deserving winners of that match. Even if they didn't get that penalty, they probably would have gone on to win it either way. Unless it went to a shootout, which you never know at that point. But it's interesting. The teams who got to stay in one city for the entirety of the group stage all made it to the Final Four. Spain and Seville, Italy and Rome, Denmark and Copenhagen, and England and London. England, they've had the added bonus of getting to play 3 of the 4 knockout matches, including the final, at home at Wembley, giving this tournament that was supposed to be shared with Europe a bit of an odd feel to it now, when one team benefits in that matter. But, I mean, that aside, the home advantage does give some sort of edge to England, doesn't it, for this final? It must, as the English fans have been, jubilant throughout the tournament, but this Italian side is like nothing they have faced thus far. The Italians have shown that they are ferocious on the counter, and perhaps they will be happy to allow England to have the ball, just as Denmark did against England. England sometimes labor to create good scoring chances, and if Denmark had just a bit more quality going forward, perhaps they could have hurt England on the counter. The amount of times that Kyle Walker covered for that back line, oof. This Italian side will carry some of the elements that Denmark displayed, compact defensively, comfortable in defense, quick to transition. But it's fair to say that the Italians are a much more talented side, with all due respect to the Danes, who can absolutely be proud of their Euro 2020 results. Bonucci and Chiellini have been one of the best defensive pairings in the tournament, while Donnarumma, in my opinion, is without a doubt the best keeper at this tournament. But that defensive solidity did show a bit of weakness against Spain, didn't it? As the movement of Spain's attackers, coupled with the service from Pedri, provided opportunities that the Spanish failed to take. You have to wonder, if those chances had fallen to England, would they have punished the Italians? Something tells me they would, and so I do wonder if England can find a semblance of the dominance that they exhibited going forward against Denmark, coupled with getting Kane in the box with room to shoot. Will this be a big problem for Italy? And at the other end, How will England deal with the Italian attackers? How will England's midfield stand up to the great trio of Verratti, Barella, and Jorginho? It's certainly going to be a fascinating final, and I really do look forward to it. And there's two guys that I know will be waiting with some eager anticipation. Matisse Armani and, of course, Uncle Sharma. Two great friends of the channel, so let's chat with them about Sunday's big final. And so speaking of this final, going into it up against Italy, what scares you the most going into it?
Do you know, I think it's that midfield, you know, that Jorginho, Verratti, that press from the counter press, the way that they're able to retrieve the ball so high up the pitch. They're very energetic. Barella as well. Didn't have the greatest game last game against Spain. I thought he's probably the weak point. Gave the ball away a bit too much, but he's had a very good tournament. And I know Jorginho very well as well. So that midfield is very capable of controlling, as they've done, and knocking the ball about and having England chase. And that's where now Mason Mount, who will probably start to match up Phillips, Rice as the three, will have to, you know, they'll have to contain that and they'll have to try and get the ball off them. As in most big games, the midfield battle will be the key. It'll be interesting to see. It's a very, you know, contrasting styles of football, you know, and that midfield kind of encapsulates it, I think. You know, Jorginho, Verratti, Barella, you know, the technical, small, inventive midfield of Italy against, you know, Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips, you know, the old school kind of hard, physical England midfield, but also, you know, fair play to them, technical as well. They combine both sides of the game. So that will be, I think, the key battle of the whole game, to see who takes control of that midfield. Both teams are going to have to assert themselves, and I think that's why I make Italy slight favourites for me, at least, because their midfield is just very, very, very strong at the moment.
The performance against Austria give you some pause after coming out of the group stage looking so strong.
Not really, but, you know, yeah, the Austria one kind of put a little bit, you know, 1 or 2% doubt in my mind in terms of how Italy struggled a little bit with Austria's more physical nature of the game and how they pressed quite hard, and we weren't able to dominate as we did, you know, in the previous matches. With the Spain one, you know, you just kind of have to expect that you're going to give up possession because that's just their bread and butter. But again, yeah, I expected a little bit more from Italy's, you know, star midfield, which is, you know, the whole team is built around this elite midfield of Barella, Verratti, Jorginho. So I was expecting a little bit more in terms of them being able to beat the press, beat the pressure. But overall, I think those performances, even though they weren't stellar, they convinced me even more that these guys just know how to get the job done and get it over the line.
I was actually going to ask you about that. How will you feel about Southgate? But I think that's pretty clear. You know, you can't really complain about a guy yet who is, you know, winning every match, who had that clean sheet record and everything. I mean, and I always bring it back to Portugal. People are going to fall asleep on me. But with Fernando Santos, I think we're starting to see the other side of that, where he got that goodwill from winning Euro 2016. But now, as the results don't roll in, it's a results business, right? As the results don't really roll in, you start to question him more and more and wonder, you know, why are we playing such unattractive football when we could be playing better football? And I feel like that could be something that we'd see in England, as you do with any other team, had things gone sour, you know? But now, like you're saying, with him potentially winning this, it completely flips the narrative, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, I mean, for me personally, I'm like I said, I'm shocked, and I think now he would warrant that new contract. Even if he loses to Italy, for me, I think he's done a great job, because I think Italy are the favourites. So just to get to the final, that's another step further than this team has ever been before. I would say England are definitely the favourites right now in terms of how they got to the final. It's their home stadium. They've been at home for most of their matches apart from one. You know, they haven't had the hardest run into this final as well. So I would definitely not say that Italy are favourites. I think the bookmakers have England as favourites as well. So Italy, I think, as you said, the little chip on the shoulder, underdog mentality, I think kind of helps Italy. We've seen that in the past as well. 2006 World Cup, that was kind of, you know, the Calciopoli scandal coming into things, seemed to kind of galvanise the team. 2012 as well, the Euros, you know, people probably didn't expect that performance to get into the final then as well. 2016 with Conte as well, you know, awful team on paper, but still were, you know, overachieving. So yeah, I think most people are expecting England to win this match, in my opinion, from what I'm hearing in the streets and my colleagues and friends over here. So yeah, I quite like it. I think that plays into Italy's hands.
The performance against Spain, did it raise any red flags for you at all with, you know, how many chances they were able to generate against this Italian backline?
Yeah, that was a little bit worrying how they were creating some clear-cut chances, which, you know, Oyarzabal and, you know, Morata, of course, should have probably you know, done better with. Their conversion though was, you know, an issue the whole tournament. But with Italy, yeah, some cracks are starting to appear, and I'm worried about the physical condition more than anything with Italy at the moment. You know, Bonucci and Chiellini, we know, are the oldest partnership in the whole tournament, I believe. So they've got this far already, and it's, you can see it's taking a toll on their bodies.
Both defenses are very solid. England obviously conceded their first goal against Denmark, but it was a screamer, to be fair. So I'm not really too disappointed in that going in. I think, you know, that's probably one of the goals of the tournament, up there with them. And yeah, I think both attacks, you know, Italy are very aggressive going forwards. You know, they really do try to get in your face. And England, to be fair to them, you know, in the opening, you know, 10, 20 minutes of the last two matches have been quite similar.
England's backline hasn't really been tested yet this tournament. We saw there's been a few times where teams have got in behind them and Carl Walker, or, you know, someone with their pace kind of recovers them or manages to, you know, recover the situation for them. We saw against Denmark, Damsgaard got in behind them a couple of times. So I think, you know, there are gaps that John Stones and Maguire can leave, that Italy can exploit for sure. I think Immobile hasn't been great, but I think when he gets space in behind defenses, he can hurt you a little bit. And I'm just putting my trust in that front three. They didn't really perform that well against Spain, but I think, you know, against Italy, against England at Wembley, big stage, I think this Italy team will come through, and that midfield will beat England's midfield.
With Sterling, you still see people trashing him on Twitter, and
Crazy.
yet it's like, what does this guy have to do? He's been arguably the best player in this tournament.
I think he has, yeah.
And, you know, sure, he's wasteful. Sure, he had a bad season, but, you know, facts change. And he's good now, and you have to give people props when they're doing well. And I think the same thing goes for Southgate, where, you know, the situation has changed. Now just give it up to him. Let go of the agendas or the bias or everything. There are some people out there that are actually giving him the props that he deserves, because, like you were saying, he has this sort of strange relationship with the rest of the country, it seems like, where, well, I would say it's more, I mean, you could speak to this better than I could, but it seems like there's more of a noisy minority that like to speak out against him, and some stupid Daily Mail articles and shit like that. But anyway, moving on from that, let's, the final question here. I know that you were anti prior to the tournament, but are you singing "It's Coming Home"? Have you joined in?
I have to say, I haven't. Well, you know, I've done a few skits, and that's always fun. But I haven't actually really. Do you know what it is with England? And it's part of what you just mentioned there. There is, you know, a part of the population, much as like myself, and I've seen a podcast as well with Savage Dan, who works with Chelsea as well. He's just another one that kind of brought this up, and I brought it up with Miz as well on one of my shows, is that there is a disconnect with England, and I don't really know what it is for some of us, but, you know, in terms of potentially, you know, like you said with the Daily Mail, there's underlying racism in parts of society and things like that. There is that disconnect, and there's a disconnect with even the flag and the way that is, because it gives you sometimes fear, you know. It's a weird link to the flag. Unfortunately, it doesn't give you joy. So when England score, to be honest, I'm happy for them, but I don't get overjoyed and going crazy like I do with Chelsea. So it's probably going to take us actually winning it for me to actually go crazy. So I'm going to go out there on Sunday, get amongst it, try and get the vibe, and hopefully it contains me and takes me onto another level that I haven't reached yet with them. Because if this was Chelsea, like, I would have been all over the place right now, but I haven't caught it, which is weird. And that's just being honest. I think at most 90% of the rest of the population are going crazy right now. For me, I'm looking at the videos. It's great to watch and everything, but I'm quite calm.
It's not like you're that guy that's, you know, you're that striker that's just scored a goal, but he's waiting for the VAR decision in order to celebrate, basically.
Literally, that is literally what it is. So I don't know. I'm waiting for the vibes, but I'm sure on Sunday, if I go out there, then I'll get it, because it does look brilliant out there, to be honest.
And there you have it. So guys, who do you think will come out on the other side of Sunday's final as champions of Europe? It's a tough call. There's a lot of aspects at play that could potentially tip the balance in favor of one or the other, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. If you enjoyed this video, do drop a like, and if you are familiar with Matisse or Uncle Sharma, do check out their channels linked below and give them a follow. Great guys and great content creators. But other than that, guys, I'm Adrian. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video and enjoy the final. Ciao.